get to vote on your own players' performances. He's rated with a 92 this week, with Erling Haaland also effective. Andoni Iraola, the top manager this week, 96 for their win over Fulham, which could edge them towards Champions League football. But look at the goalkeeper and look at the rating there. David Raya of Arsenal, rated 95 for his performance, and that is the joint highest rating of any goalkeeper in the Finalysis app this season, along with Robin Roofs, who certainly caught the eye of Sunderland fans. And he was right in the middle, wasn't he, of the biggest talking point of this weekend. We'll come to that now. The London Stadium, and had the foul not been given against him, perhaps that rating slightly different. But Arsenal got over the line because West Ham's stoppage time equaliser was ruled out after the intervention by the VAR. So, Jermaine, let's hear from the former West Ham striker on this decision, which cost West Ham United potentially a point and might have edged them closer to the trapdoor. What do you think?
And what I would say is, when I saw it, I didn't think it was enough. So for me, it wasn't a foul. And you see this, and the reason why I came to that conclusion is because, you know, there was a lot of stuff that was going on around it. For example, Souček there, something happening at their post. There was a Trossard situation there where he's holding. Declan Rice holding Somerville. So around it, there was a lot going on. Of course, you can argue that the Raya's obviously impeded by Pedro, but at the same time, I just felt that it wasn't enough. I felt like the goalkeeper had to be stronger, maybe more dominant. Obviously, goalkeeper, because that was always my role. You know, from corners, it was always my role to stand on the goalkeeper and stop the goalkeeper from coming. And a lot of times, you know, you get pushed, and the goalkeeper was quite strong in that situation. This is a different angle, and of course, you could argue Pedro here, his arm is impeding Raya from sort of like stretching
right across him, yeah.
Yeah, of course. But at the same time, when I first saw this, I didn't feel like it was enough to give the foul. I thought it was a goal at the time.
So, Jamie, Jermaine thinks there shouldn't have been a VAR intervention, and he is absolutely not alone. You know, there have been so many people saying that this goal should have stood. There should be no way that VAR should have got involved in this, and it wasn't clear and obvious because at the time it took them as well 4 minutes and 17 seconds.
Forget the clear and obvious bit. We don't need to just show this. I just want to mention this for 1 second, the clear and obvious. It took that long because there were so many things to look at. Jermaine just highlighted 3 or 4 of them there. And also, let's not forget, let's give them a little bit of credit here. The pressure on this decision, what it meant, not just for these 2 football clubs, what it meant for Manchester City, what it meant for Tottenham. And in a situation like that, I don't think anyone should be complaining about how long it took. Did they get to the right decision? Yes. Now, there's 2 sets of people who thought that wasn't a foul. The people who've got an association with Manchester City or West Ham.
JD?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Or there's people who don't want Arsenal to win the league. Now, the reason I think there's been such uproar around it is because there are a lot of people that don't want Arsenal to win the league. And the reason why is because what we saw yesterday in here, we see every week in the Premier League now. They were the instigators of it. This all started with Arsenal 2 or 3 seasons ago, putting 15 players in a 6-yard box. And the reason people were upset with Arsenal and feel like they've got away with it is because this is a football club, whether you like it or not, are a team who push the boundaries in every area to try and gain an advantage. And the reason why they are disliked. The manager standing on the edge of the touchline, putting the opposition's left winger off or right back, depending which way they're going, screaming down his ear. Gabriel going down on the floor every time anybody breathes on him. The goalkeeper being the first goalkeeper who took the situation around goalkeepers going down and killing the atmosphere in the stadium to another degree. And what they do at set pieces. So that's why there's almost this feeling. They do this every week. They're pushing the boundaries every week. How have they got away with that? But that doesn't mean that's not a foul. That is a foul. Yeah, and they got the right decision.
You have to judge it on what you see, of course, in that particular incident, regardless of anything that's gone before. And I think there are more than those 2 categories that might argue that this wasn't a foul and the goal should have stood. You've heard Jermaine pick things out. What do you want to say about it then?
Well, the things Jermaine picked out, and rightly so, is the holding in the box, is the pulling jerseys. Yes, of course there is. Trossard in this situation, has he got his arm around the player? And this is that Pablo he's got hold of there? Yeah, and he's the one who ends up making the foul on the goalkeeper. But Listen, I've been in that situation. Is that enough for a penalty? For me, no. Declan Rice is in a situation here where he ends up with his arms around Mavropanos. Doesn't look great, but again, would I want to give a penalty for that, or want a penalty given against me for that? At this situation,
I would.
You'd want a penalty?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get given as penalties.
But then there's a question
in
of sequencing, isn't there, as well, Jamie?
Like
so
this.
what happens first? Even if Jermaine thought that was a penalty, is there a foul before that on
But
David
people
Raya?
claiming, and Manchester City fans might be claiming about this, Bernardo Silva did one at Everton last week, and we weren't sitting on this show saying that should have been a penalty. Now, the reason this is a foul on the goalkeeper, and it is, whether you like Arsenal or not, don't let that distort the facts. The fact is this is a foul. Now, you could argue about the sheer tug here. I'm not going to go too much onto that because he's getting held, there's grappling late on. So you could argue he was getting held first before he did that. But the big difference is what comes now. Now, we know Pablo was getting held by Trossard. We know that. It's that. It's not even the arm on him. It's the grip. It's the holding. Now, if that arm was in the air flailing, I'd probably say it's not. It's not. But you can't grab a goalkeeper on the arm here and stop him raising his hand. It can't. That can't happen.
But Todibo does still have a handful of shit.
Yeah, and listen,
well.
Listen, if that wasn't happening, maybe that would be a little bit more contentious, probably still is a foul. But you can't do that. And then people are crying. Today, I see social media everywhere. Arsenal get away with this all the time, week after week, week after week. I don't think they do. I don't think they do.
Has
You're going to see another angle of it?
No.
He hasn't convinced you yet.
You've got a situation here with Souček and Havertz.
Jermaine's still not convinced.
Even Pablo's being held. Listen, like I said before, there's just so much going on. But at the same time, even though he's sort of like, I just feel that's sort of like a natural position. You know, he's got his
You
arms
think
on
he's got a natural position holding him up there?
I don't think that in his head, he's thinking, well, I need to hold the goalkeeper's arm. I don't even think he's looking. He's been held himself. And I just think doing this, when the ball's in the air, I just feel that's a natural position. And because there's so much going on around it, I just don't...
You think that one's a natural position from Pablo?
I think so.
He's got to hold him though, Jermaine. It's the grip. I don't think it's the arm even in his face or blocking him. It's the grip.
There's been a lot of whataboutery as well today, Jamie, hasn't there?
Yeah.
If that one was a foul, then why weren't these given as well?
Look at these situations, and I go back to why people probably get disgruntled here, because Arsenal pushed the boundaries, if you like. So you see Saliba here. He's backing into the goalkeeper. He's making it really difficult for him. Yes, he's got his arm up. Now, you could stop us still and say, look where his arm is. But when it carries on, he's not really stopping him. The goalkeeper has to do better on that one. We go to another one against Aston Villa. Gabriel, again, just pushing it as far as they can, backing into the goalkeeper. Does he elbow him? Maybe catches him. Should the goalkeeper do better? Yes. It's not the same as what we saw at the weekend. But what is the same is what happened 3 years ago at Leicester, when we see Ben White with his hand here. He's got the grip, as we saw yesterday with Pablo on Raya. That grip is there on the glove. He then hooks him there and makes sure he can't lift that right arm up, and he's almost just using one arm. Arsenal get the ball back. Trossard puts it in the goal. Goal disallowed. So this idea constantly I'm seeing all day, oh, they're getting away with it. They're not. They push the boundaries as far as they can. They're the best on set pieces. But when they did what we saw yesterday, they got pulled up for at Arsenal.
And this is what they've done in the last 5 games since losing at City. What strikes you about that, Jamie?
Clean sheets. We've said consistently on this show, Arsenal's attacking players are not going to win them the league. It's going to be the goalkeeper, the 2 centre-backs and Declan Rice. And that is what happened. The only goal they conceded is a penalty.
Talking about clean sheets, how valuable was David Raya in this? I mean, this could go down as the save of the century for Arsenal, couldn't it?
It's not his best save of the season, but it's a save that everybody remember. Schmeichel's remembered for a save away at Newcastle. A big title running. Neville Southall away at Tottenham, I remember that as a kid. This will be remembered for a long time. But Jermaine, talk about the finish.
What I'll speak about is, normally, you have to make the right decisions. And of course it happens quick. But when you look at his foot patterns, he takes an extra touch. In a minute, you'll see. He takes an extra touch. And when I was watching it live, I thought, OK, but then you have to make the right decision. He tries to finish at his near post, which is the wrong choice. You have to open your body out. Thierry Henry used to do it really well. You have to open your body out, control your shoulder, and pass it into the other corner. And even this, Carragher, you spoke about this before.
You explain this to me, because I can't work this out. I can't understand why his left foot isn't planted right next to the ball, and then he comes through with the right foot. He's in the air now. Both feet are off the floor as he's about to take the shot. That doesn't seem right. Yeah,
because he's come from sort of like this angle. If that's the goal, he's come from this angle. And I feel like you have to slow your feet down. So your foot patterns, you have to have smaller steps. Because I feel like the closer you get to the goalkeeper, the easier it is, because you narrow your angle. What he tries to do is generate a little bit of power. That's probably why his legs are so wide. And it's unbelievable safe, to be honest. But
this one, Jermaine, just to look at this one. So his left foot touches the floor there.
Yeah.
So he touches here. His left foot doesn't touch the floor again till somewhere here.
Yeah.
As you know, that for me just doesn't seem right.
It's too wide. And like I said, the ball should be coming here. So like I said before, as you go through, you took another step, another touch, and then it should be falling over here and passing it into this corner here. But you see that it's that wide swing, sort of like...
I always feel he's trying to be a little bit clever as well. Yeah. He almost knows he's going to score. It's that easy thing. I'll just whip that near.
And the reason why, probably, because he tries to sort of like generate a little bit of power to go over the top of the ball to get over the goalkeeper's legs, but he's made the wrong choice.
Huge moment in the game, absolutely no doubt about that. As were the substitutions for Arsenal, they were really key. And 28 minutes, Zubimendi comes on for Ben White when he was injured. And there was a lot of criticism at half-time about that change. And we saw Zubimendi withdrawn 40 minutes later. The sub was subbed with Ødegaard coming on. So how important was that decision made by Mikel Arteta?
Mikel Arteta made a mistake with his substitutions, but he showed courage to take Zubimendi off, which wasn't easy. But what happens is you then end up, as the goalkeeper's going to clear this, with a central midfield of Declan Rice, who's in the back five there because they're defending a set piece, Havertz and Ødegaard. Now, as the keeper clears it, keep an eye on Fernandes and Ødegaard. Ødegaard doesn't know how to play this position from a defensive point of view. This is the big chance. So you've made a change, and that could cost you the title. That save from there could have cost you, as we said, Ødegaard got it wrong. But what you get, you're going the other way. So now another long ball, he's now switched on. He gets the ball before Fernandes. He's probably still in his mind thinking, I could have cost my team the title. But what he does is show real leadership, Ødegaard. People question why he's captain at times. It's not just about digging in off the ball. Look at his leadership, looking for the ball and taking responsibility. He's making sure Mosquera's not getting on the ball, no disrespect. I'm going to make sure I get on the ball. I'm going to make something happen. What a pass that is. And that's where you think that could be the chance for Arsenal to score.
They've just got them on the back foot here, haven't they, Jamie?
They have, but he keeps finding himself in between the block. Other players trying to get involved. Look, he's directing where the ball should go. Again, give it to me. Saliba's not having it. He's a defender. Playing little balls in here. Again, he always wants the ball. I'm not going to get it in there, so I'm going to come out here. Mosquera's not getting it. No, get off the ball. Always demanding the ball, always wanting it. He knows he's the one who's got to make something happen. Arsenal haven't got enough players like him. And that's why he took the responsibility now. Something's got to happen. And that's where it comes from. He could have cost his team, but he won the league virtually, in my eyes, for his team. This was absolutely world-class ability, yes, but I love seeing players take responsibility. And this is the moment now. He said afterwards he knew Trossard was there. He had to wait for his moment. He knows he's now going to pass to Trossard. He has to wait for Souček. He just has to have that little pause. He waits, he can see him. Souček's out the way. And bingo. And listen, we'll think about leadership for Arsenal in terms of Tony Adams. That was a great piece of leadership we saw there. Brave substitution. Could have cost them the league title by not going with Fernandes. But right now, it looks like that decision is going to win them the league title.
The title. And first in action were Manchester City on Saturday evening against Brentford. Didn't manage to find a breakthrough in the first half, but a very different story in the second. In the end, Jermaine, it was very comfortable, wasn't it, with Omar Mamouche adding the finishing touch? Yeah,
I mean, it's City doing what they do. But what they've got is a player in Doku who, you know, is a special talent. You know, here, this is the goal that you just said, you know, does exactly what the chance presents. You know, touch and finish, you know, goalkeeper bouncing, not getting set. hitting across the other side of the goal. But no, City were brilliant.
A huge relief for Pep Guardiola to get back on the winning trail after dropping points at Everton. And Jermaine's mentioned him. Everyone I think thought that Ryan Cherky was going to be almost the spirit leader for Manchester City, that creative spark who was going to help them along the way. But it's turned out to be Jeremy Doku in recent weeks.
Doku is keeping the title race alive, and that was the same at the weekend. We know what happened against at Everton, getting that last, gasp point. But I think looking at it right now, I think he's the best winger in the Premier League right now. Certainly the one, if I was a defender, I wouldn't want to play against. But because of what he's done of late in terms of coming inside and scoring goals, Brentford had a plan for him. And it was just so obvious watching the matchup with Doku and Coyote. So that's a normal full-back position. I've been there myself. You let the winger gets the ball and he's running at you. But you're sort of facing him, really. But it was just, as soon as the game kicked off, it was so obvious what the plan was. And the plan was he's not coming inside. So Coyote almost slows down and just allows himself to get level with him. So we've seen the different position, allows him to get level because he thinks, I can deal with you physically. If you run past me, I'll get my arm across. And pace-wise, I can deal with it. I'm not going to let you come inside. So this is early on in the game. And Doku is still trying to come inside. That's what he wants to do, but he just gets crowded out by Brentford because the plan is he's not coming inside. He's not going to score another goal like he did against Everton. So what's your option as Manchester City if they're going to give you that space? So Doku could go past them, but also Nico O'Reilly making that what I would call a Kevin De Bruyne run. I think they'll start calling that a Nico O'Reilly run in these next few years from left back. So the space was there. Now, what really stood out for me on this one, his initial position here, Coyote, as that ball comes across, that's where you would end up as a fullback. I've been there, and then you defend with Coyote. Watch the run Coyote makes here. He actually comes outside the box. If you stop it now, he's actually just behind Doku. That's unheard of. So you can tell what the idea was, what the plan was, show him down the outside. But if you show him so much space on the outside, he will go past you because he's got blistering pace. And as Thierry Henry continually says, if you're a top winger, you beat your defender on the outside. So we know what the plan was here in that situation. So we're here again, start of the second half. Nico O'Reilly makes that run again and they almost get away with it. Now, I just want to go back to corners. So we've seen the plan in the game. This happened on every corner on this side. A Bernardo Silva one short, Doku then facing two players. Bernardo Silva making this run in between. But as we stop it now, they're showing him the outside. They don't want him to come inside on his right foot. So they show him the outside, goes past him with ease. It's not Coyote. I think it's Jensen in there. And Erling Haaland nearly scores. So then we go to the second half, and this is where they're a little bit unfortunate. Doku was fantastic on the day, going on the outside, but we've seen early on what he wanted to do. Now, again, the same corner routine, but if you watch now, they're trying to show him inside. They've been scarred by what's happened just before half-time, going on the outside, they're bringing him inside. He then tries to find Bernardo Silva with a pass and gets a little bit of luck. And then what happens? He's now got his opportunity. But look at Kovacic here, the Manchester City midfield player whose substitute knows what Brentford know. If we allow him inside, he's got a great chance of scoring. He's celebrating the goal. He's celebrating it.
This has a lot to do as well.
And the one opportunity he had to cut inside, he finishes with aplomb. Jermaine, the finish.
Yeah, but even before the finish, the way he commits people, when he dribbles, he looks at the opposition's ankle, and as soon as you commit yourself, then he just shifts it. But this finish here, that's world class. Because that's the only place he could go.
But it's become his stock in trade, hasn't it? With either foot, as we've seen in recent weeks.
Of course, here. But listen, he backs himself. As soon as he comes inside there, you always fancy him to score. But, for me, there's no bigger compliment than, one of your teammates actually celebrating. When he's got a lot to do. So much to do, but to finish that, it's brilliant.
But if I was a fullback coming up against him, how do you stop that? If you know he's got that ability to come inside
I know how
and
you
finish,
try and stop it.
I know. We'd have a go.
Even if you double up.
But if you show someone that far one way, he will just burst past you with his pace. I think I love watching him play. He had him up the wall. They had a plan for him, but when you've got players as good as that, it's very, very difficult.
And he is far and away the number one guy in terms of that effectiveness as a winger in the Premier League this season. The most dribbles, which is the category when you're talking about engaging an opponent. Ball carries is effectively 5 metres or more. He's top of that. Progressive carries relates to which direction he's going towards the opposition's goal. And he, of course, creates chances with that. But chances created in open play, and this probably goes under the radar a little bit, I think, with Jeremy Doku. 3 per game, more than anybody else in the Premier League from open play. And look at those other players in there. We mentioned Ryan Cherky. Martin Odegaard, really effective from open play as well, might surprise a few people. Wirtz, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Bukayo Saka and Bruno Fernandes just behind him, who's, of course, in with a chance of breaking the assist record this season. So where does that rank Jeremy Doku in terms of the great Premier League creators over the last 9 seasons? Well, there he is. The further along and the higher up you are, the better. And there he is right in the middle. He's doing really well, not just in terms of open play chances created. The higher you are, the more you're creating. But along this side, the further you are along here, is the higher the expected assist value you are creating for your team as well. So that really relates to the quality of chances for your team, regardless if they score from them or not. And let's just pick out some other names on here as well. Kevin De Bruyne, not surprisingly, dominating this category. Here he is as well. Ryan Cherky this season doing really well in terms of the expected assists. So real emphasis for him on quality, not quite as many as Doku, who also had a really good season in 23-24. You might say he was a replacement for Jack Grealish. This was Jack Grealish's final season at Aston Villa. Wasn't able to replicate those numbers for Manchester City. And we should pick out as well Bruno Fernandes this season, as I say, in line with a chance of breaking the assist record. But this is open play. A lot of his have been from corners and from set pieces as well. So Jeremy Doku is very much the star man, and what company he is keeping there, Jamie.
Yeah, he is, and I just look at De Bruyne there. I mean, he was a cheat code, wasn't he? I mean, how good a player was he? But Doku now, I felt maybe last season, maybe the year before, Manchester City didn't have that sort of go-to guy as a wide player. Think of who they've had in the past. I mean, we know that, Sterling, Sane, Mahrez was fantastic, wasn't he? And that's what they've lacked for me. But him coming in now and what he's done all season, I think he's that player. If you're a fullback now, you're thinking he's the one I don't want to come up against, because he's got the pace, he's got the power. Now he's bringing the finish into it as well, and he can go either way.
And he's hugely popular with Manchester City fans. Certainly this week, he's been named in the Finalysis Team of the Week, where you...
All of that to come, but there is one topic that dominates all the Premier League talking points, and it is one which we will be debated about for a long time to come, it feels. It's a decision dubbed the biggest in the history of VAR. A late equaliser for West Ham against Arsenal, ruled out after a lengthy check, giving Mikel Arteta's side a crucial win in their bid for a first title in 22 years. Merce, I know you would have watched it a million times over. Let's start with then, is it a foul for you or no foul?
Oh, it's a stonewall foul. Yeah, it's stonewall foul, but there's so much going on around the foul. I mean, you look at it now and you think, if Raya comes and catches the ball, West Ham will get a penalty. Because Declan Rice is fouling, Trossard's fouling. But all of a sudden the goalkeeper doesn't. The goalkeeper gets fouled, it's come across. I don't think the goalkeeper should have come in the first place. I thought he was in no man's land, in my opinion. I'm not a goalkeeper, but I don't think he personally, I thought when he come, someone going to answer the door? When he come, he's just not going to get there. Look, he's never, ever going to get there. And that was the one that surprised me a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he's made a little bit of a meal out of it as well. But as soon as it went in, I'm sitting at home watching, and as soon as it went in, I thought, please be something wrong. Please be something wrong. And that's all you do. And as soon as I see Arteta go like that, then I knew that would be it.
But you mentioned the other fouls, because Trossard, Gabriel, Declan Rice is probably the big one, really. Yeah. They're all committing fouls, aren't they?
They are all committing fouls, but we're looking at the goalkeeper first. In hindsight, if the goalkeeper it could be like American football. You could decline every foul and go, he was fouling him, he was fouling him, he was fouling him. So penalty declined, goal stands. I mean... Because
I think there was an argument, I was watching Ref Watch this morning, and they were talking about the order of the fouls. But it's hard to see when Declan Rice's one starts, because he kind of just coming into shot there. You've
got to look at the start as well with Havertz as well. Havertz is getting fouled as well. Look at Havertz in front of him with Souček. He's getting fouled. I mean, they're all getting fouled. When I watched the World Cup last time, and the World Cup was on and VAR come out, and they were calling penalties for that, and you thought, oh, here we go, we're going to have penalty after penalty, this is going to be great. Nothing's really changed. Nothing really changed. It is a big call. It is, but it was a foul on the goalie, but everybody else is fouling as well. And as I say, in American football, all them penalties would get declined. You know, they'd say, well, he was fouling. Penalty decline will stay with the on-field decision.
So for you, right decision?
I thought it was the right decision because the first thing we look at is the goalie. And if the goalie catches it, if West Ham player's doing no wrong and he doesn't foul him, plus the one on his shoulder's the one as well when he's pulling his shirt, that's a bad one. If he comes out and catches it, West Ham get a penalty. It's weird. You wouldn't. If it happened to Arsenal in the Champions League final, would you be happy? I'm not sure you would.
Yeah. We've seen so much of this grappling in the box this season, haven't we? Well, we're almost always heading towards, a major moment in the season coming down to these decisions in the box.
I wouldn't have thought it would have been this major. I mean, this is
huge, isn't it?
Oh, as big as it gets. I mean, it's phenomenal because it's
for
not
more than just one team.
It's not just Arsenal.
Yeah.
It's the other, and then you'd have to sit there and go, I sat there after and I watched it again and again and kept on, and I thought, what would the outcome would have been if Arsenal was 7th in the league and West Ham were 3rd bottom? I don't know. That's the $1 million question. But because it was such a, for Arsenal going for the league, West Ham trying to stay up, the magnitude of it was massive. If Arsenal was 7th in the league...
Well, I think the PGMO have said there would be no difference.
But it would have been. No one knows that. They could say that, but no one knows because it's so different. You could easily go, well, it doesn't really affect that sort of situation. Fair play to the ref. Fair play to the ref in the end, because he's gone and made a big decision in front of 60,000 West Ham fans, which is a big decision. If West Ham play like that for the next 2 games, I expect them maybe to get 4 points or even win, and that could keep them up.
Will that be enough? That's the question, isn't it? Right, we'll get on to that, but let's bring Dave in because you've been having a closer look at the controversy.
Yeah, look, I must say, when the goal went in yesterday, I thought, finally we get to have a proper debate about where the game is going with corners. I've been banging on about this all season, and now in the biggest game with the biggest decisions and the biggest prizes on the line, we get to talk about it now. A higher share of corners are being targeted at the 6-yard box than ever before. So why are teams doing it? And does the officiating need to catch up with what is going on in the game? Firstly, let's talk about why they are doing it. Put simply, it is because it's proving successful. Here we have the direct goals from corners into the 6-yard box per game in the Premier League this season. And also comparing it to previous seasons, all the way back to 2021-22. Now, what we are calling a direct goal is when the first contact results in the goal. We're not talking about rebounds, we're not talking about second phases, just when the first contact results in the goal. Now, success, as you can see, has remained pretty much stable over the last few seasons. But look what has happened this campaign. Big jump. We're up to 0.13 goals per game from direct goals from direct corners into the 6-yard box, resulting in goals, I should say. Now, what that means is it's an 85% increase on last season. And it also means if you look across a Premier League match weekend, you're going to get at least 1, probably 2 of these goals being scored every single week. How are teams doing it then? Well, they are packing the 6-yard box. We've talked about this on the Premier League show before, something called the meat wall, which was coined by Michael Cayley. This is trying to tell you about the number of attacking players and the number of defensive players in the 6-yard box. Now, on average, you're looking at 3.2, around 3 attacking players in the 6-yard box when a corner is struck this season, and you're looking at around 7 defensive players in the 6-yard box when a corner is struck. Now, that's a significant increase certainly from attacking players anyway. We saw 1.9 in 23-24. It then rose to 2.5 in 24-25. And now, as I say, we're looking at 3.2 attacking players. That's an increase from there to there of 68% on 2 seasons ago. So really, when a corner is taken, you're looking at 10 players in the 6-yard box. And this doesn't even account, by the way, for players rushing into that part of the penalty area when the ball is struck, which is something that Arsenal like to do. So loads of players in that area. Are more fouls then being given in that part of the pitch. This is the number of fouls being given in the 6-yard box per game. This includes set pieces and open play, by the way, in this one. We are, at the moment, this season, at the highest rate of fouls being given in the 6-yard box over the last 3 seasons. But it's not really a massive increase. If you look at that, 0.23 last season, 0.24 this season. Does the officiating need to catch up with the sheer number of bodies, the sheer number of grappling which is happening in the game? And who is the most fouled player in the 6-yard box? I know everyone's looking for David Raya on this list. He is not there. Aston Villa goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez is the most fouled player in the 6-yard box this season. That particular foul, by the way, on David Raya was just the second time that he has been fouled in the 6-yard box this season. I think it just opens up the debate about where we want the game to go on corner kicks going forward and how it is going to develop in the future. Because if the officiating doesn't catch up on this, it's going to continue.
I mean, what can the PGMO do then when there are so many, Dave's talking there about the amount of bodies in the box, it's getting packed out. I think a lot of people yesterday, the response was, when you're looking at social media, they just want consistency, don't they, across the board?
Yeah, and I think they're scared at the moment because they're thinking if we give a foul every time, we give a penalty every time there's a corner. But you have to stop it some way. You know, my pet hate is when a corner's coming in from there and the defender's facing the other way, marking someone like a basketball match. I mean, for me, that's just straight away, that's a red flag. It's like going, well, you're just going to foul him. You're not even looking where the ball is. They've got to sort this out. They've got to get it sorted quickly. And then the quicker they do that, and I thought after the World Cup, I thought, oh, there's going to be loads of goals, going to be loads of penalties, and they just nip it in the bud. They just nip it in the bud. And I think sometimes you might have to start declining and saying, right, all right, there was a foul on the keeper, but he was fouling him, so penalties declined, you know, and we'll go with what's on. For me, they've got to change something because there's about 6-7 fouls in there. I mean, it's madness, and that's not just yesterday. That's every day, every single corner that goes in. People are pulling. They're pulling them around. They're holding their waist. They're pulling shirts. They need to sort something out. But you know, as soon as he went over, you see everybody knew that he was going to give a no goal. You know, because that's what they do, don't they?
Yeah. Well, of course, on the Monday Night Football, they will go in depth on that huge talking point and the impact it has had on the title race and relegation as well. But I caught up with Jamie Carragher in the M&F studio a little earlier. Yeah, it is the perfect day to have a Monday Night Football, isn't it? I feel that even an hour and a half build-up still isn't enough to talk about everything from the weekend, especially what happened at the London Stadium yesterday. I know you're going to do a deep dive and talk in depth about that VAR controversy. Tell us what we can expect tonight.
Well, yeah, we've been looking at it all morning, as you'd expect. So we're going to get to the bottom of it, hopefully before 6:30. That is the plan. But we want to try and give it the detail it deserves. And as I said, because it wasn't just about, you know, the top of the table, it had an effect on so many other teams. And I actually said before the weekend, it feels like the biggest game of the season because it affected 4 teams. So it's 2 teams involved, plus Spurs, plus Manchester City as well. To get the controversy at the end. Could have went either way, I suppose. People have seen it differently. And yeah, we'll get into that. But there was a lot more in the game as well. It wasn't just about that one decision. It was, a fascinating watch.
Looking forward to hearing your opinion and, you know, your guest tonight in Jermaine Defoe as well. But do we feel like that moment, when we're looking at the emotion, could that go down in history? You know, we look back at the Aguero moment, for example. Will that go down as one of those big moments, do we think?
If Arsenal win the league,
yeah.
Which I think I said last week, if they win at West Ham, they win the league. So I think they've got a great chance. I mean, I still believe that. Anybody to do with Arsenal, whether you're a player or a fan, won't believe that because that's the nature of the game. You always think the worst is round the corner. But they've got a really favourable fixture, I think, coming next, Burnley at home. And then, yeah, they've got a game away at Crystal Palace. Obviously, it's not easy, but, if you were picking a fixture, that would probably one that you'd pick away from home, considering the European commitments they've got.
You talked about some of the other sort of big moments in that game as well. Obviously, you'd be looking at the Trossard winner, but even before that, the David Raya save. Some people could say Fernandes, he could have maybe taken a touch less. But when we're looking at David Raya this season, you know, how just important has he been, especially if Arsenal do go on and lift the Premier League title?
It's not just this season. It's the call to bring him in. and it wasn't universally popular. I think when the change was made, I was probably quite adamant at the time that I felt Arsenal needed to move on from Ramsdale, who was a good Premier League goalkeeper. I just didn't think you could win the Premier League with him in goal. Now, it remained to be seen whether he was the guy, but it was a brave decision. I think the fact that the former coach of David Raya at Brentford, I think, moved to Arsenal, so probably gave him a little bit of an insight how good a goalkeeper he was, but he's been a revelation. And I think on this show, probably a couple of months ago, we made a big play about the fact of whose goalkeeper would you want to try and go on and win the league? So to Donnarumma at Man City or David Raya, and he's certainly won that battle. He's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League and arguably one of the best. Well, he's definitely one of the best goalkeepers in the world. He could certainly have that mantle.
Won the Golden Glove, hasn't he, this season? So you're sticking by the fact that you said if Arsenal won against West Ham, they'd win the league? You're staying with that? This is how you see it now in a couple of games for them to go?
Yeah. I think they'll win the league now. I think they just got over that little wobble that they had. There's a couple of games against Manchester City. And, since then, they've been really impressive. Not always in terms of, performances, but they haven't looked nervous. They haven't looked edgy. There was probably 4 or 5 games spell where it looked like they're coming off track, but they look like they're back on it now.
If you're Arsenal fans, though, you don't care about the performances so much, do you?
Oh, no.
You want to win the title.
No, that's the same with every team. We always say, at this stage of the season, it's not about performance, it's about points. It's always about points at any stage of the season.
That's how it works.
Exactly. Right? So, no, they're doing it the way they do it. It's not as probably eye-catching as Manchester City, but we've had those debates all season or for years now, about different sort of styles of football. It's about getting across the line, getting that trophy won. And it's, I think they're virtually there.
If you're City, then what's the mindset now? Because I imagine they're feeling pretty deflated.
I think the mindset for them is the Crystal Palace game that comes next, where they could put real pressure on Arsenal, is if they got a decent scoreline in that game. Now, they scored 3 at the weekend against Brentford. Arsenal obviously only got 1 against their West Ham. If they could win by 3 or 4 goals...
Just for the goal difference.
Yeah, I think that could put pressure on Arsenal and almost take that idea that you could afford to draw a game out the equation. If the goal difference was heavily in Manchester City's favour, you're making sure that on the last game of the season, if you like, if Man City win their games as well, but they could put real pressure where you have to make Arsenal win.
Yeah, they have.
And then you never know what happens. Crystal Palace get in there, score first, there's a red card, there's a VAR decision, who knows? But... I think that could be something because the Crystal Palace game, they'll have the minds on the European game. Yes, I know Arsenal played them last game of the season as well, but I think that's where they could maybe add a little pressure if they won well against Crystal Palace. Yeah,
loads for you to get into tonight alongside Dave and Jermaine Defoe. M&F is live, as always, from 6:30 on Sky Sports Main Event. Yeah, looking forward to that. Mercer, word on David Raya then, because what a moment that was, the save that came kind of before everything else, really.
Great save. Shouldn't be allowed to save it, in my opinion. It's a big chance that it's got to score. It's got to score. It's more of a big miss for me than big save.
Too many touches?
Too many touches and all his shapes horribly wrong as he does. You can go pick through this, as he gets it. Great bit of play there, great touch, and then bend it in the corner. Tries to be... By the time, if you keep on watching it, by the time he takes his shot, he's virtually falling over. That can't happen. If you watch Harry Kane or any top centre forward, they're all quick feet. He's stretching, his foot's not in the right place, it gives way, and then he goes, don't get me wrong, top save, but it's a top miss as well. It's a top miss.
That's a good way of putting it. It felt like the end of that game just had all the drama. You, of course, played in that famous 1989 game at Anfield, which, won you the title after a long period without one. Did the drama yesterday feel close to that?
In a different way. But yeah, for TV-wise, for neutrals, it was unbelievable last night. If you were sitting on holiday and you was reading a book and you said this was going to happen, you'd throw the book in the sea. You go, oh, that can't happen, can it? There's a minute to go, and Arsenal need to win and West Ham need to get at least a draw. And if they don't, Arsenal could lose the league. And then all of a sudden that happens. It was, absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah, VAR, I'm not a great lover of VAR. I think there's no bigger buzz than scoring a football goal. It's amazing to score a goal in front of 30, 40, even 5,000 or whatever. But that buzz of it in the back of the net is just getting taken away more and more every week, more and more. And we need to try and sort this out, because there's no... When you're in the stands as a fan and that ball goes in the back of the net, you go mad. Now, I give it 2 more years and I don't see anybody ever jumping up, and I don't see anybody celebrating, because they'll just have to wait and see if VAR are going to give it or not.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that was a lengthy wait yesterday, but I guess they didn't want to get it wrong, did they?
No, but I've always said as well, when you're going to VAR, you're looking for it not to be clear and obvious. If it's taking that long, was it clear and obvious? That's the problem. And I know we can say, we can take as long as you want, but if something's so clear and obvious, it won't take long. It won't take long. It will take you no time at all. I've watched on Soccer Saturday, I've seen the decision, I've gone, it's a goal, or that's a free kick. I haven't had to look 20, 30 times. I remember the Tottenham-Chelsea game, Angie's game, when Chelsea won 4-1, and had 2 players sent off, and Tottenham. I remember that. I made every one of them decisions within 10 seconds. And VAR was taking minute after 5 minutes after 6 minutes. I always say, if it's going to take you more than a minute to dissect it and pick it out, it wasn't clear and obvious. So get on with the game.
Right, I'm not going to ask you any more about VAR, OK? It feels that Arsenal...
Till next week.
Till next week. Yeah. The title is within touching distance for Arsenal now. We saw Ian Wright on Super Sunday yesterday saying that if Arsenal win the title and the Champions League as well, that will surpass the Invincibles. Where do you stand on that? Got to?
I would say it's got to. But winning the Premier League and winning the Champions League could be done again. Being invincible will never be done again. Plus, winning the league and winning the Champions League's already been done. But no one's been invincible before by that team. So it's a lot harder to go invincible. It's a lot harder to go invincible in this day and age.
So you don't agree? Different.
Yeah, I don't, because I think it's 2 teams have already, Man United and Man City have already done that. But they haven't been invincible. So,
all right.
Sorry, Raya.
I get it.
I love Raya.
No, I know you do. You're allowed.
Yeah.
He's your mate, so it's fine. Right, coming up next.